Hey everyone, so I am starting a new series of videos. It's going to be called How to Love and Communicate Effectively. So during this series, this will be a part one for this video. This will be pre-recorded and posted soon so that you can comment. I'll post this via several social media outlets. You can comment via those different outlets. You can also ask questions. So on June the 28th at 1 o'clock, I'll be posting the Zoom information for that. So if you like to join that Zoom for you to be able to ask questions, we'll have Pastor Henry Merriweather on via that Zoom so that way he can answer any of your questions. And throughout the series, I'll have some guest speakers if they are willing to come on and to kind of talk about our experiences and what we've been learning as far as loving and communicating. So let's get started. So love, if you look up in a dictionary, the definition of love will actually come up as a noun. It is an intense feeling of deep affection. So an example sentence is babies feel parents with feelings of love. So I think that's one of the issues is that, we feel like love is simply a feeling, like it's something we're going to feel in here, there'll be butterflies in our stomach. And that is like the reason why there's so many disconnects in relationships and friendships, so many divorces. The excuses, well, I fell out of love. I no longer have that loving feeling. I think that was a song. I no longer have that loving feeling or something like that. And, when we no longer have that feeling, we don't invest in that relationship, that friendship, that connection anymore. And so that's where the distance comes into play. So we're in the world, but we're not of the world. So we cannot have the world's view of what love is. Someone said, what did they say? They said, being in love is an amazing feeling. But for me, being in love may be a great feeling, but being loved is even greater. And I'll explain that once we get finished. So 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is patient and kind, never jealous, boastful, proud, or rude. Love isn't selfish or quick-tempered. It doesn't keep a track record of wrongs that others do. Love rejoices in the truth, but not in evil. Love is always supportive, loyal, hopeful, and trusting. Love never fails. So when we are looking at, as Christians, what is our viewpoint of love, we have to go back to the Bible, and figure out, okay, so what is it? So that is a great definition of love, a great example of what love actually is. So it causes me to think of my friendships, my connections, my relationships, and do my actions coincide with that statement? If my relationships do not mimic that, then it's not love. If it doesn't mimic patience, kindness, never jealous, never boastful, proud or rude, not quick-tempered, rejoices in the truth but not evil, love is always supportive. So if it's not that, then it's not love. So I have to go back to think about, what am I displaying? So a lot of our ministry, as Christians, some people feel like their ministry is word of mouth. That's not ministry. Most of your ministry, over 80% of your ministry is before you even open up your mouth. Realistically, it's what people see. So do people see you being loving? Do they see you leaving the church service and you honking a horn and getting irate in the parking lot because somebody cut in front of you? Are they seeing you, show up to work late? You always have something nasty to say about the boss. You're always condescending or you're always complaining. What do they see? Do they see love? And sometimes it's frustrating because you go back and you look at today's, how you have people who've never stepped foot in the church, maybe living a certain lifestyle that Christians are like, that's not a biblical lifestyle. That's not coinciding to the word of God. However, they show more grace and mercy and love than people sitting on the front row. going to Bible study. So you have to keep in mind, what are you showing people? So dating wise, like the me from way back, would listen to what guys would say, I love you. And I'm like, oh, you're my queen. And, what is it? One fool said, what did he say? He said, you're my queen. I love you more than life itself, or something like that. But the actions did not coincide with that. So I'm like, okay, so you're not putting me first. You're not even putting me second or third. So that's not love. So forget what you're saying. Let me see what you're doing. Don't I'm at that stage now where it's like, you know what, don't say anything. Show me. If you're about that talk, you want to be walking that walk. Other than that, I don't want to hear it. And that's what we must be as far as showing love and how we display our relationship with God. So for me, when I define love is an action. Love is something I must physically do. I have to do. Sometimes it's being humble. Sometimes it's checking myself, because my automatic reaction might be pop off at the mouth, like, excuse me, or something like that, or giving somebody a piece of my mind, and they may very well deserve it, However, love is taking a step back, putting someone else's needs before mine, honoring someone else before myself, or more than myself. That's what love is. It's simply an action. So, and it's difficult to show, because you have to think of, let's go back to Jesus. Good and well, he did not feel like dying on the cross. I mean, he had so many other things he could have been doing. And then you look at the people, not even the people that were going to come in the future, but the people that were there in this present time who didn't believe what he was saying, even the miracles that he displayed. He might do a miracle on somebody on one day, and they turn around and, have something negative to say, or said they didn't believe he was the Son of God the second day. Spitting, throwing stones, you have to think about those things. He didn't feel like down on the cross for us, because we didn't deserve it. We don't deserve it. There's nothing that we have done to deserve God's love, period. There's nothing that we have done or will do to deserve God's love. So when you think about love, it's action. It's something that Jesus chose to do. He chose to love us. Didn't feel like it, knowing good well we didn't deserve it. But it's grace and mercy. So when I think about love, grace and mercy go hand in hand with that, because I think about a relationship or a connection that I have with someone, and how sometimes they volunteer lies and manipulation, and I'm like, need something done for them, and I'm just kind of like, I want to be like, you know what, you don't deserve it, forget you. You made that mess, you deal with it, I'm done. But then I have to think about, all the times that I've put myself in situations that God has delivered me from, and that I didn't deserve it at all. And I think about those things, and it makes me more empathetic. It makes me, have that mercy, and think about, what God showed me love and grace and mercy, then I can very well give that to somebody else, knowing good well they don't deserve it. But I can do it because I didn't deserve it. So 1 John 4:7-8, my dear friends, we must love each other. Love comes from God, and when we love each other, it shows we have been given new life. We are now God's children, and we know him. God is love, and anyone who doesn't love others has never known him. So I think about, how can non-Christians show love when they don't know God, but yet we know God? We have experienced his grace and his mercy. we have experienced, I know personally, some miracles and things that God has done in my life, for my parents, who my dad, when you're talking about having cancer in stage 3, and it's like, sending him home to die, there's like nothing else that we can do, is basically what they're saying. They pretty much gave him up. And it's like almost, what, 15, well, 13 years later, 13, 14 years later, and he's still with us, thank the Lord. I think about mom. They were getting ready to operate on her to remove, some cancer cells from her breast. And they were like, well, we can't find it. So I'm like, God performed those miracles for us. So knowing that he's done that he's alive and he's well, then I can do my part, So how can people who don't know God, who has not experienced personally in their lives the grace and mercy in their lives, how can they be more sympathetic to other people? I think about some of those cops. I think about how many of those cops who actually are members of a church, who have basically, because of their actions, caused the murder of, people in their custody. I think about that, like putting their knee in someone's back, and, this person says, I can't breathe. And you're just like, there's no grace, there's no mercy, there's no understanding, where it's like, you know what, you may deserve this, whatever they were, called in for, to arrest the person for, whatever the case may be, where you might feel like, well, they might deserve this knee in their back, but there's no grace and no mercy, where you don't feel like someone's life is worth that. You don't feel like you can pass on the mercy that God has given you. And those are all things that we're going to be accountable for. Keep in mind, these are things that we will be accountable for our lack of grace, our lack of mercy, for our lack of love and understanding of other people, for what we don't do. We're all going to be held accountable for it. So I think that, this whole thing with love and communication, I want to get into, a little bit further in the series, how those really go hand in hand and why they go hand in hand. But, I think about, if there was just a little bit more love, if we really understood what love is, not a feeling, but it's an action, it's something that we must do. Think about how much of impact we can have in other people's lives. How many relationships would still be connected, how many marriages would still be together, if you really understood what love is, that it's not easy, that it is a battle. Sometimes you have to battle yourself. Because I know I do. I have to battle my mouth. I have to battle my lack of patience, with dealing with people, or even some family members. And I'm like, I don't have time. You made this mess, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you expect me to do? I have to bite all that. And you know what? This is family. I love you. I'm going to help you with this. Granted, I might add some other stuff to it. Like, don't call me for this again. However, again, love is an action. Don't tell me, don't tell me you love me and you're not going to show it, because you're wasting your breath. So Romans 12:10, love each other as brother and sisters and honor others more than you do yourself. To me, that's one of the key things. With kind of understanding love a little bit more, where it says honor others more than you do yourself. And some people are quick to say the word love. I've been dating somebody that's less than 3 months, and they're like, I love you. And I'm like, I can't even really say that I love you like Christ loved us, because I'm not there yet. But I think people are too easy to say it, but they don't because they don't understand what it is. Again, love is an action. You are saying, I'm going to honor, I'm going to put your needs above my own. That is so hard to do, and it takes a consistent, conscious effort every day. Sometimes that person will not deserve it. They'll do things consciously and unconsciously where they're not showing their love or honor or respect for you, but you have to show it anyway. So I've been running on Greenway, and I'll get out there and I'm waving hello. You know, sometimes I can say hello. Other times I'm running and I'm trying to breathe. Like, I could throw up my hand. That's the best I can do. And sometimes it's just like, that's a and I used to get so upset when people would look at me, like literally you'd have people walking and they look up and down and would not acknowledge no hey, no hello, no waving hand, no nothing. And I just really just wanted to shoot them a bird. Like, excuse you, like you are so rude. How can somebody say hello to you, but you don't say it back? And I think about that. I think about what type of person that is. Happy people radiate happiness. So when I think about us showing God's love, like if you love yourself, if you are in a happy place, you're going to radiate that, you know? And I had to stop thinking about, you know what? God is not holding me accountable for these people not waving back to me, hello, or not acknowledging me in any way, shape, or form. He's not holding me accountable for that. But what he will hold me accountable for is me shooting birds back at these people who do not say hello back to me. Yes, that was the petty in me that wanted to do that. I didn't, but I wanted to. But he will hold me accountable for that. So I'm held accountable for my actions. Jesus would have been held accountable for him not dying on the cross. You know, God wouldn't ask him, oh, well, you know, so I understand, you know, these people spit on you, they threw stones on you. I understand why you don't want, no. He would have been held accountable for his actions, just like we are going to be held accountable for ours. Again, doesn't matter whether people deserve it or not. But love is an action. In order to love others, you must honor them more than yourself. That is the key point I would like for you to take away from this video. Again, you can comment. If you have any questions, if you cannot make the live video, please post your questions via the different social media outlets that I'll post this on, and I will add those questions and have those answered either by me or Pastor Merriweather on the next video. Bye, guys.